We are back. The screaming continues because we are doing spooky season. Those glowing eyes, brother, tell you right now that we are doing something creepy, but not really a horror movie. It's a little bit of a murder mystery. If you are new to the channel, be sure to help us out in the future by giving us a subscription. One little subscribe, it's free, and it does so much for me and you because you get to see all of our wonderful things pop up
Yay.
on your screen, including the faces of my co-host Billy. Yes, Billy is here. And then give us a like while you're at it. It doesn't take much. It's just a little click and it goes so far. It goes into another galaxy. So just do those two things. That would be amazing. And you can follow us on all the wonderful social medias at To Be Seen. On Instagram, it's I Want To Be Seen. On Twitter, it's To Be Seen. Billy doesn't have social media. So if you want to see him, you're gonna have to give me money, and then I will send you explicit photos of Billy anytime you want. All right. So now that we've taken care of all those wonderful things, let us get into a haunting of Venice, and let us start with the cast. So we got a star-studded cast for this one. We got Kenneth Branagh, Michelle Yeoh, the top tier cast members on this one, as well as Tina Fey, and then the guy who played the doctor, Leslie, who I was like, God, that guy looks familiar. It was one of those who is that guy? That's Jamie Dornan. And then we have Dylan Colbert Badler, who was the kid in the background. Amir Al-Masi is the one that wanted to get out and head to America. And then Ricardo Sacramaccio was Vitali, the bodyguard. So we had a very awesome cast. Of course, the little kid who played the doctor's son that was the mastermind behind everything. I was like,
we found out the kid was a blackmailer.
Yeah, exactly. Like, wow, really? Let us hop into the synopsis. In a post-World War II Venice, Monsieur Poirot, now retired, living in his own exile, reluctantly attends a séance. But when one of the guests are murdered, it's up to the former detective to once again uncover the killer. Well, let's hop into what worked. So, what worked for you, Billy?
I kind of liked some misdirection that they did. I mean, I liked Michelle Yeoh at the beginning, basically being outed like right away as a fraud psychic, and then like starting to like give hints that she might have actually been real, and then dying.
Yeah, and she's dead.
I also just enjoyed all of the jump scares and stuff. The few things that they were few and far between, but when they showed up, like the little girl and like the attack while he was doing the bobbing for apples.
Yes. Seriously, I saw that comment. Like, what? Go ahead.
Yeah, if you see bobbing for apples in the middle of a house for like no reason,
and you're by yourself. Yeah, if you're by yourself, don't fucking bob for apples, man. Like, keep your head out of the water, because if there's ghosts around, they're definitely gonna push you in. What worked for me was a lot of the spooky things that they kind of leaned on, and you thought, oh, maybe something's hauntings going on. Maybe this isn't a murder mystery after all. Because though it was because of the hallucinogenics, you did see some of the more creepy aspects, like the little girl's apparition pop up at the end. It was like, is it a ghost? Is it real? Like, what's going on? So those things work for me. There was a little bit of spooky that kind of went a long way. I really enjoyed the story that they leaned on. This was an orphanage, and they starve these kids, and these kids get revenge. So any nurse or doctor that comes through, fuck them, we're gonna kill them. So I really enjoyed that. Not the fact that these people died for real, but but the idea of this mythos that they built into the story, which I thought was fantastic. Kenneth Branagh's terrible French accent strikes again. I asked you before we started filming, which accent was worse, his Southern accent from Wild Wild West or the French accent in this one? And what did you say, Billy?
I actually think it's a toss up. I'm going between the Southern or the French, but I almost say the French. I think that as a British man, he just cannot give a French person dignity, so he
Mhm.
must mock them in his impression
Yeah.
and just do the worst French accent he can, just as a sort of cultural pride thing. Like, I'm an Englishman. I cannot do a decent Frenchman. That is part of our national heritage. All British people must make French people either sound British or completely like idiots.
Yeah. Yeah. Another thing that worked for me was the true killer and mastermind, besides the child in all of this, was the mom. She was pretty creepy. She was doing her thing, man. Like she at first I was like, oh man, this poor woman has to deal with all the loss and then she's suffering. And then as the story went along, I was like, wait a minute, you're the reasons everybody's suffering. You're a bitch. Like,
Yeah, she just had Munchausen and was trying to keep her kids sick so she would be needed.
yeah, yeah, your
And then
Munchausen. Oh,
somebody
Munchausen.
else
Very good.
didn't realize, "Oh, you're drugging them." Gave them a
Mhm.
little extra. They OD'd, and
Yeah.
they were like because and they just were like, "Oh, crap, I can't let people know they OD'd. Let me just play to the ghost myth."
Yeah. They really leaned on that. Another thing that worked for me was Tina Fey. I really enjoyed her performance and that she was a lot of fun, as she always is. I think she's one of my favorites currently right now as a actress in the comedic world, but she's a brilliant writer as well. So
Mhm.
seeing her in a role that wasn't Saturday Night Live, I thought was a lot of fun. And for a minute, she was really like, "Oh, bro, this is real. I can't figure out how she did this. She's really a medium." She's talking about Michelle Yeoh's character. This is the real deal, no joke. Come on. And you really like kind of leaned into it, like, oh, maybe,
Yeah,
it
they
kind of
also
built
did
that
that red
misuse.
misdirect towards the end where they made you think that she might have been the blackmailer.
Right, right, because it would make a great story. So those were a lot of cool elements, and for 5 seconds you got the young brother and sister. Maybe they did it because they were Michelle Yeoh's assistant, and they wanted to get to America, but they thought they would make a buck off of this. And then you realize, no, wait, she was the ticket, so there's no way. So one of the great moments of this film, and as any classic who done it, is getting your main cast together to like figure out which one is the killer. The jealous ex-boyfriend, the author that wants to be super rich, the disgruntled employees, the the woman in the back, the mom. Could it be the mom, the brother and sister, the little boy? Because the little boy had been a little bastard, which he was. He was a brilliant little fucker,
Oh, yeah.
and the disgruntled bodyguard. So really cool imagery, and I really like that they did a good job not revealing who the killer was until the last like 20 minutes of the film. Like you pieced the puzzle together. At least for me,
Mhm.
I didn't write down like, oh, this woman was here this minute, and then over here, that's where she, I didn't get into the whole
Yeah.
string
I'm
theory.
not sure if you figured out that the kid was the blackmailer.
No, I hadn't figured that out. I was like, oh shoot, it was a kid. Oh, that's awesome. Kids today, give them a tablet, they can do anything they want.
Yeah, if you
Even
see a
though this is
creepy
the
kid,
1900s. Yeah.
they are trying to blackmail you.
Yeah. Oh man, that was awesome. That was one of the big highlights. Was that reveal? It was like, whoa. So in a way, he spawned the whole like he was the catalyst, the ripple effect, if you will. And because
Yep, and
of
it
what
was his
his
fault that his dad died, of course.
right, he's the reason why his yeah, it kind of like God smacked him because his blackmailing that gave his dad the money and helped them out came back around and caused his dad to get killed.
Yep.
So wild. I mean, but now he's taken in by Handmaiden. So at least there's like some good outcome for him, but still that was probably the best thing in the movie was that reveal. So if you haven't seen the movie, and I don't know why you would watch this whole video if you haven't seen the movie, we totally spoiled it for you. So
Yep.
yeah, that part's done. All right.
Well,
Let's
actually, no,
hop
we didn't completely spoil it for you. It was hallucinogenic honey. That was the drug.
Yeah,
Now we
that's where all
persuade
the
the
ghosts came from.
Lord.
Yeah, now we spoil everything. Yeah, which was also a really cool twist because the mom was making all that stuff in the garden, and then she went ballistic and tore it all up, and then switched it, and then that's kind of like when you realize, oh, wait a minute, it was the mom, because like once they started saying, oh, hey, this honey's not the same honey, this is all messed up, and Perot started hallucinating, and then you're like, okay, that's what it is. So that's what worked, and those were the cool things about the movie. Now let's get into the sorry sides. All right, Billy, what didn't work for you?
All right. There was some parts where it did drag on a little bit.
Mm.
Uh, the film was what, like an hour and 40 minutes,
Right.
and
Well, you got to
uh,
stretch it out, man. Those movie
yeah.
tickets are expensive, so
But then there was just some parts where it was like, yeah, this possibly felt like it could have been maybe 90 to maybe 80 minutes.
yeah, they could have shortened it. But they had to build the suspense, and that birthday party I think dragged on the most because they were really building up the whole spookiness with the kids, and the story. That's what got you the story of, oh yeah, this is why this place is creepy, because this used to be, it was an orphanage, right? It was an
Yeah.
orphanage, and these kids starved to death here, so that's why we're having all these ghosts. That's the main catalyst for everything. And the daughter fell out of the window, and that's why it was the ghost that did it, little kids, and she was tormented. But I guess that story just seeped into that kid's own head, and that was that, man. Oh, oof, oof. So what didn't work also for me was like they leaned, having Michelle Yeoh, one of the Academy Award winner Michelle Yeoh, only for the first like 13 minutes of the movie, was like, seriously, they killed her off that quick.
Yeah, and used her as the advertising.
Yeah, I expected this whole movie to be about a lot of these seances, and there was going to be more than one, and then like you were going to see stuff, and then she was doing it, and I really subverted my expectations because I was like, oh man, we're gonna have this Michelle Yeoh performance. She's amazing, and then she's like, there is Michelle Yeoh. Oh, the statue goes right through her heart. She's dead. It was like, what, really? So I was quite surprised at that outcome.
I've gotten used to movies and TV shows wasting Michelle Yeoh. I mean, between this and Star Trek, I was like, "Oh, great, Michelle Yeoh's in the thing. I'm gonna get it. I'm gonna enjoy this." And she's dead.
I mean, she lasted longer in Star Trek. At least she was like in 2.5 seasons, and she's getting her own movie. She did way better in Star Trek than she did in this. But like,
Yeah, but
what was
it
that
was
Marvel
she
movie
had to
with
come back
Tyrese?
later on. It was like that first like season that she was dead, and it was like,
Oh yeah, you're right. Yeah, in the first season, she died in like the first couple episodes. Yeah.
yeah, and that was like, okay, checking out.
I mean, I held on. I really like Discovery. I don't care if people say. I thought it was clever. I really like the time jump, but we're not here to talk about Discovery. Yeah, the Michelle Yeoh checkout was kind of like rough. The other thing that didn't work for me was like, why does Perot have a bodyguard? Yes, these people stand out in front of his crib to like get Perot to help them out, solve, get them on the cases of things that are happening in their lives, and I get that, but like, he didn't need a bodyguard. Nobody was coming after him. It wasn't like he had a mad stalker that actually was the killer behind everything. Oh, it was my stalker. I'm so sorry. It wasn't like, that's a terrible accent, but it it wasn't
It
like
was almost as bad as Branagh.
it was almost as bad as it. Yeah, at least I'm a level. But like, it was weird. It was like, why do you have a bodyguard? It didn't make any sense. So that part kind of threw me off. I didn't think that was very good or necessary. But I did like the character. He could have been like the bodyguard of. It would have made more sense if he was the bodyguard of the mom that was a famous singer at one point.
Mhm.
And, she couldn't afford to pay him, but he was staying because, she was going to get back on her feet, and he didn't know. I mean, that would have worked better, but I thought it was just very odd that he was just kind of chilling, taking care of a guy
Or
that
if he was even the
cared.
psychic's bodyguard and just
Yeah, if he was
failed at his job because he was that incompetent.
it's like, oh no, they killed my mistress. That would have made more sense, even more so than the mom. That I love that. That would have made more sense. It was just very weird, odd placing there. And yeah, so let's see how it was received. So we go to our old friends Rotten Tomatoes. We're gonna pop up on the
It
side
looks
here.
like C plus across the board.
Yeah, it's fresh. It's a good story. It's a murder mystery. It's not a horror movie. There's horror elements, but it really leans on a lot of the murder mystery. Of course, because this is a trilogy of Agatha Christie's murder stories and the Poirot Chronicles. So
Yeah, plus I've actually seen in some other countries, like at least through IMDb, they have like the alternate movie posters.
uh-huh.
I believe in Italy, this thing was actually called A Murder in Venice.
Oh, that makes more sense. Because it was Murder on the Nile and then, Murder
Yeah,
on the Orient Express. It should have been called, but like I think because it came out in the spooky season, they call it A Haunting of Venice. And we're gonna really lean into the ghost stuff. So I think that's why it was called, because it was just timing. And let me ask you, do you think it helped at the box office to call it a haunting in anything?
well, I'm not sure. I mean, like, I'm also just looking at the description and saying holiday mystery and thriller.
Yeah, I don't know,
I'm
maybe.
like, wait, holiday?
Yeah, it's spooky season. That's a holiday. Come on, they had a whole 20 minutes about after the war was over. We kind of adopted some of the American things like Halloween. So now it's a holiday.
I know, but I just like, wow, like
The
they
description is a
really
little flawed.
stretch that as much as
Yeah,
they can. Yes,
yeah,
it's a Halloween movie.
yeah. That's a holiday, swear to God. All right,
I
so let's
swear
see.
this is totally Halloween, and that did not get tagged on just so we can release this in October.
Yeah, that doesn't mean it's a spooky season. That's why it's
I
called
mean,
haunting and not a murder.
totally. This thing, you could not just cut out those 10 minutes of Halloween references and still have the
Yeah,
exact same movie.
yeah, exactly. Let's see. No, I already know the answer to this, but how do you think this did? Do you think this was the number one movie at the box office?
Nah, I
Oh,
think it
very
did
good.
good, but I think uh I thought I heard the Nun actually beat it.
You're right. So let's go into the news. Yes, the Nun 2 scares off Perot. And to become Mother Superior at the box. So I love I think this is Deadline's article. I love the way they come with their article names. This is like, yeah, the Nun 2 scares off Perot to become Mother Superior at the box office. But second weekend for the Nun 2, 14.5 million. They really like did it up. It's really interesting that two movies that were very successful. I think each one didn't do as well as the first one, but you have these two great successful films previous. You would think that there's an audience built in, and then they would come and see this. And then the reality is, nah, we're here for spooky stuff, and we know this is a murder mystery. You can't fool us. We smart. So I think
But
that's what
also, I
happened.
think it's because they didn't call it a murder in Venice because people
Yeah,
were like, because I'll admit, like one thing I even said was I had like a Mandela moment. For some reason, I thought that well, Johnny Depp was one of the actors in Murder in the Nile. For
right.
some reason, I thought he played Perot,
Oh,
and I was like, "Wait, Kenneth Branagh was what? How did I misremember that?"
oh, so you're like, didn't he have a monocle? Um, let's see, Murder. I think Murder on the Orient Express was the one that Johnny Depp was in, because I know there
Oh
was like,
well, yeah, but I meant like it's Murder on the Orient Express, Murder on the
yeah,
Nile,
no,
Haunting in
maybe you
Venice.
were right. Willem Dafoe was in it. Yeah, they should have just kept it Murder, because that kind of messed up the whole plot line, and people were like, huh?
But that happened
Oh, you
like a
know
lot of
who? No, it
movies.
wasn't Johnny Depp. It was Russell Brand and Annette
Oh,
Bening were in Murder in the or Murder in the Nile. So Johnny Depp wasn't in it, because I think that was around the time that Johnny Depp was having that issue with his poop in my bed girlfriend.
yes, Amber Heard.
Yeah. Oh, but yeah, I thought Johnny Depp was in one of them, but I guess not.
See,
If,
I'm not the only one that misremembered something.
yeah, I mean, I didn't. I did think he was in it. So if you know what movie we're talking about that Johnny Depp was actually in, let us know. Or are we confusing Russell Brand with Johnny Depp? One is absolutely awful, and the other one is awful, and we know who's who. Um, yeah, but I was surprised that this wasn't number one at the box office, despite the terrible decision to call it something other than Murder at blah blah blah. That's like if you were at a construction site, it would be called Murder on the Commode. You know what I mean? Like you wouldn't Murder in the porta potty. You wouldn't deviate the names. It would kind of stay in the succession of what people know, and I think that did uh, put a clink in the armor that is the box office powerhouse that was this trilogy. And I think in my belief, I think this is probably going to be the last one of these movies. What do you
Yeah.
think?
I also
Oh,
think what they should have done, well, I do think this is probably going to be one of the last ones, but actually, I would have played off the fact that they were based off of literature and tried to make it like advertised as the classy, intelligent film, like based
right.
off of the books of Agatha Christie.
Yeah, they didn't lean into it like they really should have.
I
But like
mean,
if you look it up, it says based on written by Agatha Christie and whoever wrote the screenplay. Mich- Michael Green wrote the screenplay. So it's listed as writing credits Agatha Christie, but they kind of totally omitted the whole Agatha Christie thing, which I think is a mistake.
yeah, because I mean, if you did like a movie version of Murders in the Rue Morgue and you forgot to mention Edgar Allan Poe, people would be like, why?
Yeah, yeah. I mean,
Yeah, it's
maybe
like,
there's more
okay, we're
more of
going to do uh, The Shining, but we're not going to mention Stephen King.
Stephen King. Yeah, there you go. There you go. That's the mistake here. I don't know
Yeah,
why
because it
the
was a big
marketing
name
didn't.
author that was
Right.
historically relevant and had a
Yeah,
following
exactly. People
that
love
people
Agatha
might
Christie.
not know from the movie because they're like, oh, they don't mention it to the point that people that are non-literary fans would know that.
Yeah. Weird. Weird decisions that they did the box office studio, excuse me, made. But these are all directed by Kenneth Branagh too, which I find to be interesting. So not only is he starring and directing Kenneth Branagh.
Which is
It's
why he got away with such a bad French accent.
yeah.
No one else would have directed that.
Are you sure you want to have that French? Yes, I want the French accent.
It's your money, Mr. Branagh.
Yeah. Exactly. All right, that's what you want, man. It's real shitty, but if you want it, go for it. Here's your coffee, sir. Go away. I am French. I think the
Sucker.
best.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is not coffee. Oh my god! But I will give him credit. The ghost patch and the mustache was
Mustache. The
were very
mustache was on
very French.
point.
Yeah, very French. He got that one. He got at least that. All right, well, let's wrap it up. What are our final thoughts on this film? Final look, Bill.
I think it was fun, and I think I might actually watch it again, just see what if I
Really?
could catch some of that stuff. It was a slow burn, but it was still like interesting, and I want to see like, well, one, if you now know like the big twist at the end, how do you figure out like the hallucinations and what the hell will actually happen to him? Did he do that shit to himself, or was he
Well,
just
she
actually standing there with people just staring at him like he's nuts?
no. If you like, I got the fact that he was on the hallucinogenics, and because he found that cup in the daughter's room, and it was
Mhm.
like close to the edge, and he was like, "Oh shoot, she drank all the tea," and then he looked back and realized, "Oh, I drank the tea," and then he started seeing ghosts.
Yeah, but I mean, like even things like in the bathroom when he saw like the dead kid, he
Yeah,
turned off
because he
the
was
water. But then when he came back, when the kid told him like, "You have the water running still," he's like,
yeah,
"I
he was
want to turn that
hallucinating.
off."
Yeah, no,
Like,
he was hallucinating from the tea
yeah.
because he had
So,
already drank in the tea. So
so did the kid come into him while he was in like the other person come in and tell him to turn off the water, or was that a hallucination too, or is
it
that
was
the
a
whole?
hallucination too. The whole thing, everything that he was. I'm surprised. So Perot was so good that he could be high as a kite and
It's
still
still
solve the
so.
murder. That's what you take for this, kids. Poirot is a great investigator. He can be messed up, drunk on his ass, and still figure it out.
Yeah, if
That's
you're
how
good
good
at your
he is.
job, you can actually do it while still.
Yeah, if you're really good at a job, you can do it inebriated and high.
That is horrible advice.
Do not come to this channel for advice, folks. If that's what you did, I'm sorry. This is the wrong place. This is not what we do. We are not advice givers. We are just comical fools. So get high, and then you too could be for all.
Get good up at your job where you can do it while stoned.
Yeah, exactly. Be so good, you don't need to be sober. You can do it hungover. Oh my god, terrible. The other thing about this movie is since it was in Venice, I noticed the water was like blue. I hear
Mhm.
the canals is still pretty gross right now. So it was the water CGI?
Well, I don't know because like there was a brief time during COVID where things cleaned up a bit. I wasn't sure how long it's been that they made this movie.
Well, I mean, one of these came out like 2020, I think. Let's see. Straight up. It's amazing how I can look things up right away. So Murder in the Orient Express came out in 2017, and then Murder on the Nile was 2022, so last year. So maybe they filmed these back to back. That's a good
Yeah,
catch.
because if this was filmed in 2020 at the same time as the other one, it
Yeah,
would be
the
at that
water might
period
have
where
cleared
it's
up.
just cleaning up.
Yeah. Interesting. Oh, okay. It's a good catch. That it's all about time. Time is the most relevant thing. And time is something that we deal with in the Captain's Quadrant. So make sure you watch that on the other channel, soon to be called the Captain's Quadrant, as we are a warm welcoming Brandon Liu back to be seen as Shedding Light returns to be seen. This is amazing. We have great news. We have new shows coming out with Brandon. That will probably be later on in this year or early next year. But in the meantime, you're going to start seeing all the Shedding Lights appear here weekly on To Be Seen. So every week you'll get a new Shedding Light, starting with She-Hulk, and then going all the way up to Only Murders in the Building. More murders, yay!
All right, so are we doing She-Hulk season 2?
Yeah, if they ever made it, we would totally do it. I know the idea was to do Loki, but I think he's actually out of town. So we will find out. It's a mystery even to me as to what the new Shedding Light show will be. But once it's done, it'll be here on To Be Seen. So we welcome Brandon back to the original squad. It was you, me, and Brandon. He was doing all those fun things on Comic Conversation, and now he has Shedding Light, and we'll be having a lot of fun. And who knows, maybe even more things will come. So stay tuned. Lots of fun things. Dis Dungeon's coming back in January. We're gonna have all new episodes of Dis Dungeon with new interviews, and that's our music podcast. Billy and I, if you notice, we're doing more focused on movie reviews because we are doing this 1 week later. Next week, The Creator comes out. That'll be next Friday, the 29th. So the first weekend in October, come back. Make sure you subscribe because we're going to be talking about probably one of the, which could possibly be the next greatest sci-fi film in history, on equivocal level with Dune and Star Wars and Star Trek. This could be the next big thing. So make sure you subscribe. Make sure you join us for those wonderful things. And we're going to have a slew of horror movies that we're going to talk about 1 week later. Are you excited for the future?
Oh, yeah.
2024 is going to be
Yeah, and I'm
wild.
also excited because I'm actually going to see Dune in a theater because unfortunately, when last Dune movie came out, I had to see it on HBO Max
Oh, I'm so sorry. You had to watch it on your
because it was still
1985 tube
it,
TV.
it was just the surround sound in that thing did not work. So
Oh no.
the music was very loud, but the talking sounded like whispering to the point that it was like frustrating.
I am the spice. He who controls the spice controls the universe.
It's like I don't like AM.
Oh, what the
Yeah,
fuck?
it's like I don't want AMSR, Dune.
Oh my god.
It ruined Dune for me.
Oh my god. My chip is
ASMR.
break. ASMR, dude. You hear the sound. All right, guys. This has been 1 week later. I'm Joe Dove. With me, as always, is the wonderful Yay, Billy. And we're going to be back in 2 weeks for the creator. Make sure you join us. It's going to be a lot of fun. So until next time, be well and get spooky.